Etsy just rolled out three pretty big updates that I want to go over with you guys today. So you know what's going on, you know how they impact your business, hopefully in a positive way. I think these are pretty positive changes, but you guys be the judge. Let's dive in and go over the updates today. All right, guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the Handmade and Beyond podcast. LL, your host of the Handmade and Beyond podcast, of course. Glad to be back with you guys as usual. And you may notice if you're watching this on video that behind me, the scenery has changed. I'm officially moved into my RV. I'm waiting for my house to be built. And now I get to live in an RV for 8 or 9 months. So this is going to be an exciting adventure. There's weird noises. The AC is kicking on. There was lawn people outside, but either way, I want to get this recorded for you guys. I'm dealing with adversity here. I'm in new surroundings. Everything's different. I had to move. So things have been a little chaotic, a little crazy, and I can't bounce around too much too, because I noticed that it shakes the camera. So there's lots of stuff going on. Definitely going to be an adventure. I'm gonna have to give you guys a behind the scenes tour sooner than later, because I am running my entire business from my RV and from a friend's garage to do my screen printing, like I've mentioned before. So I'm going full throttle ahead. I'm not letting this stuff set me back. I'm getting back into the groove of things. I've dealt with the move, which has been chaotic, stressful, frustrating, just because you don't realize how much crap that you have until you try to move it. And we sold off a lot of stuff because we don't want to have to store it for 9 months. And at the end of the day, we still had a bunch of crap sitting around that we had to load into the car. We were down to the wire. I thought we would be done early, and it never turns out like that. Stuff comes out of the woodwork. You're like, where did this stuff come from? I didn't realize I had this much junk. So we use this as an opportunity to downsize significantly, but we still have stuff that we put into storage. Unfortunately, you can't downsize everything, but we are living small, in the RV right now. We're going to use this as an opportunity to travel a little bit, have some fun, enjoy, living small, enjoy scaling things down for the next several months. So I'll be back and let you guys know how that is going. But today I'm here to talk about three pretty big updates that Etsy announced recently. And I want to go over them with you guys so you know what's going on, you know how they impact your shop. And the first one, I'm just going to dive right in. The first one is Etsy announced that shoppers can add, basically from your advertised listings on Etsy, they can add those items directly to their cart with a one-click option. I've tested this, and I'm not sure if it's just a certain group of people where this is live to yet, but I've searched this or tested this on the web browser and on the app, and I don't see a one-click option yet. They may be releasing this soon. They didn't put a date on it. I couldn't find any specific date. So usually with changes, they do update it or roll it out in phases. So maybe that is the case with this. So they are modeling after Amazon, the one-click buy option. This is a one-click add to cart option. You still have to check out, so it's not as fast as a one-click buy with Amazon. But we'll see how it's rolled out. We'll see how they design it, how it looks. But I think this is a good change. Any removal of friction for shoppers where they can buy easily and buy faster is always going to be a good thing. So I'm going to keep my eye on this and see how it works. Right now, it looks like when you have advertised listings, you still have to click into them and then add it to the cart and then check out. So I'm assuming they're going to add some type of a little button on the outside to be able to add that to their cart directly without actually clicking into that. So we'll see. Maybe you guys are seeing that. If you are and you're watching this on YouTube, whatever, let me know in the comments. But I'm not seeing it yet. But I think this is a good addition. I'm looking forward to seeing more additions like this where it makes shopping seamless for buyers. So this is definitely going to be a good change. The next one, and this is a pretty big one that Etsy just announced, and maybe you've seen this in the email, but I want to go over it so you know what's going on, so there's no confusion, is the Etsy Purchase Protection Program for buyers and sellers. It benefits both buyers and sellers. Basically, the gist of it is you get a $250 protection plan on qualifying orders, which includes any shipping and taxes that were paid as well. So how that works is if it meets a certain criteria, you will get to keep the $250 or less, and the buyer would get refunded that $250 that wouldn't come out of your pocket. So there's certain criteria. I think this is definitely a good change to offer some added protection to things that are outside of our control as sellers. And I'm sure that they're going to expand on this more so, but it is a good start. So the two criteria basically, and there's a lot of sub criteria to make sure that you're qualifying for the the purchase protection program as a seller, is if a buyer never receives their package, it gets lost in the mail, gets lost in transit, you could get up to $250 or get to keep up to $250, and the seller would get up to $250 refunded back to them. The other criteria or stipulation is if their item arrived damaged, you get one of these per calendar year. So if they got their item, it is completely damaged, you're protected up to $250. You would get to keep that money, and then the buyer would get reimbursed that money up to $250. You notice that I'm saying $250. After $250, you would not qualify for the purchase protection program. If you sold something that was $300, it got lost or it's damaged, you would not qualify. It's not a portion of that amount. It's not like you would get $250 and then have to refund $50. No, you wouldn't get anything. There's no partial amounts. So it is important to remember, if you're selling stuff over $250, get some type of shipping insurance on that to cover the basis. So Etsy is not helping you out with more expensive items. This also starts, or it's supposed to start, August 1st. That's when it's going to take effect. Here are a couple of more in-depth requirements to be able to make sure that you qualify for the purchase protection program. And these are specifically from Etsy. The first one is make sure you have a valid tracking number or it's shipped through Etsy, the platform itself. Either way, you need valid tracking to make sure that it can be tracked so you'll know if it's actually lost. Should be a no-brainer, right? The next one is make sure that you have an estimated delivery date on the order. So if you're setting up your processing times on Etsy, it'll have an estimated delivery date. So just make sure that you are having processing times and you're setting up that stuff specifically in Etsy in the shipping profile. Processing times, mail service that you're using, those will all work together to add the estimated delivery date. If that's not, stuff isn't in there or it's not correct, I don't know. On a side note, I don't think you can set up a shipping profile without adding that stuff in there. I think Etsy requires you to do that, so I don't know why. I guess they just have it in there to cover all the bases. The other thing is make sure that your items shipped out on time. So if you have a processing time of 1 to 3 days, make sure you're shipping the item out in 1 to 3 days. If you're shipping it out late and that item gets lost, you do not qualify for the Etsy purchase protection program. So make sure you're abiding by your processing times that you have. If you're shipping items out late, change your processing times, bump them out a little bit further. Processing times also hurt you, or shipping items on time also hurts you with the star seller, which I'm going to talk about next. So make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you're packaging your stuff carefully to prevent damage, especially if you've already used your one purchase protection program for something damaged and you don't want to get something else that ships and it's damaged because you're not going to be covered. So make sure you're always shipping your stuff out that is packaged thoroughly so that it doesn't get damaged. The next one kind of confuses me a little bit, is use accurate photos and descriptions within the item listing. I'm not really sure how that plays into items getting lost or items getting damaged in the mail to qualify under purchase protection program. That one kind of confuses me a little bit. I mean, yeah, of course, you want to make sure that your photos and your descriptions make sense and they're of your actual item, and it'll help you as far as reviews and people purchasing. I'm not sure why it applies to this specifically. So either way, Etsy says it. I'm going to relay it to you guys so you know. It is important that you're doing that, but as far as for those two stipulations, that I'm not sure why they have it in there. The next one is have your shop policies filled out. This is always a good best practice so people know what your policies are. Etsy has basically a quick policy template. You just toggle it on. It's so much faster now than it used to be. So you literally, there's only a couple of things that you have to select. You know, how for returns, when they have to contact you within a certain day frame. Usually like 14 days or 30 days, whatever you're going to set that at. There's a couple of little things that you can toggle and change, but for the most part, it's preset. So you don't have to do a lot of work to create a policy section. You used to have to write all of that stuff out. Now it's preset. It's literally toggle it on, make a few tweaks, and you can do your policies in less than a minute. So make sure you have your shop policies filled out. That'll help you in so many ways, not just with this. It'll help you with SEO. It'll help you with trust factor with people coming and buying from your shop. So make sure you're doing your policies as well. The last one, this one's a pretty big one, is you must ship the order out to the address that was provided by the customer and that was verified by Etsy. So the address on the actual order is where it must go. A lot of times you'll have people reaching out to you after they order telling you, hey, the address is wrong. Hey, it was my old address. Can you update it? And most of the time, or all the time, I'm like, sure, I'll put a note on the order and then I'll change the address when I print out the shipping label. Now it's important to know that if you do that and the item gets lost or damaged, it will not be covered under the purchase protection program. Reason being is Etsy does verify addresses according to what the USPS has on file. So I think it's a protection mechanism for them to make sure that you're not shipping items to addresses that are not verified, that don't exist. So in order to make sure that you're qualifying for the purchase protection program, you need to make sure that you're shipping it to the address that is verified, not an address that someone gives you after the fact. If they do want to change their address in order to qualify for the purchase protection program, you're going to have to cancel the order and have them resubmit the order. I know that's not ideal, but that's still better than taking a risk of the item getting lost or damaged and then you're not qualifying for the purchase protection program. Holy smokes, tongue twister. So you can handle that how you want. If you're selling stuff that's pretty inexpensive, that may be a risk that you want to take. But if you're selling stuff that's over $100, $200, I would have them resubmit the order with the correct address and just cancel out the current order to make sure that that you qualify under the purchase protection program. And it benefits them as much as it benefits you. So that's just how I would tell them that Etsy has a purchase protection program, and that in order to make sure that you're both covered and taken care of, we just need you to resubmit the order with the correct address. Shouldn't be a problem, but that's how I would go about it, and that's why it is important for you to make sure that you are meeting these requirements, because you don't want to have something happen and have to go back and realize you're not covered under the purchase protection program and have to come out of pocket $250 for a lost item or a damaged item for the customer. The last thing I want to mention with the purchase protection program is it's no additional cost. There's nothing that you guys need to do to enroll. It starts again August 1st. I'm not sure how the actual mechanics are going to work of it once something like this happens, but I'm assuming it's something that you have to get with Etsy customer service or file a case or something like that to make sure that you're covered for a particular order that falls into the purchase protection program that's lost or damaged. You probably have to find that order, submit it through the orders tab or submit it to Etsy somehow so that they can verify that it qualifies, and then you'll both be taken care of. So we'll see how that all is rolled out August 1st, but there's nothing extra that you need to do. It should just be built into the Etsy platform. But more to come on that for sure. We're all going to learn together, but I just wanted to let you guys know that is coming, and that is something that should help you sleep a little bit better at night, especially if you're selling stuff that is pretty expensive. And that brings me to the last update, the dreaded, talked about, controversial Star Seller has an update, a Star Seller badge that you get for meeting certain criteria on shipping items on time, messaging people on time, and reviews, 5-star reviews. Those are the quick rundown of the criteria. You will get a Star Seller badge. I'm not going to go into the specific details of all of those. I'm going to hit on the changes that Etsy has made based on feedback that they have gotten from you guys, surveys that you've submitted. I would recommend that you continue to do that. If there's things that you don't like, that's the only way that you're going to not try to get your way. That's the only way that you're going to get your way is if you let Etsy know your feelings and give the feedback. A lot of people troll on the internet and complain and yada yada, and they don't do anything about it. So if you can only complain if you do something about it by submitting your feedback to Etsy. It's my opinion. You're not going to like everything, and that's fine. There's no way you're going to like everything that Etsy does, but it's still at the end of the day a good platform for many sellers. And the Star Seller is one of the things that's been talked about a lot. A lot of people don't like it, but they are starting to make some changes, and I'm sure they're going to continue to make changes to the Star Seller criteria. So right now, the changes they made is usually they require an average of 5-star reviews over the last over 3-month period. If you average 5-star reviews, you will get or meet that part of the criteria for the Star Seller. They've actually lowered that to 4.8 in a 3-month period. Based on the research they've done, they're saying that 85% of shops average a 4.8 or higher as an average review count. So now it's even easier to qualify for that part of the Star Seller badge if you get just a little bit less. One bad review or one 4-star review can really prevent you from getting the badge. So that's why they made this change where one bad review or one lower review is not going to necessarily prevent you from getting the badge. Even if you get a lot of reviews, even a couple is not going to prevent you from getting the badge. It's all going to average out at the end of the day. As long as you're averaging above 4.8, boom, you're good to go. And reviews are important anyways. You should always strive to get 5-star reviews as it is, but they're loosening the criteria, so that's definitely a good thing. The next thing that they're doing is they are streamlining messages that you get to make it a little bit easier to organize. So one of the requirements is you have to message people in a timely manner to get to meet that requirement for the Star Seller. So every message you get, unless it's marked by spam, you have to respond within a 24-hour period. Now, some people will send you multiple messages, and you may feel the need to respond super fast to multiple messages, even though they're a follow-up to the last message. And it may come in separately. It may not come in from the same feed or the same thread. So they are streamlining messages and trying to put all the messages from the same buyer together so that okay, I've already responded to the initial message. There's not as much of a rush to respond to additional messages. Even though you should still be responding, I would think within 24 hours, it's going to make it a little bit more easy to organize and more streamlined for you guys to see what messages you've responded to, what messages are coming in from the same buyer, and condense things a little bit. But these should be coming soon. They said July, so if they're not already here, they should be rolled out very, very soon. You should be able to see these in your dashboard. And the last change that they've made as far as one of the requirements that you can be eligible to be a Star Seller, because like I said before, if you meet the messaging response rate of responding within 24 hours, the shipping on time rate, and the review rate, those are the 3 main requirements to qualify for the Star Seller. But there's also sub requirements to make sure that there's a minimum for you to qualify. So there's an order minimum that Etsy had, and usually before it was you have to have a minimum of 10 orders in a 3-month review period to qualify to get the Star Seller badge if you meet the other requirements. Now, starting in July, they've lowered that to 5 orders, not 10, within the 3-month review period. So it's easier for you to be eligible to qualify for Star Seller if you're selling less. However, they kept the order total, not including shipping and taxes, at $300. So if you're selling higher ticket items, you can qualify now a little bit easier. You don't have to have as many orders, but you still have to hit that $300 the $300 minimum, not including shipping and taxes, to be eligible to qualify for Star Seller. The other thing too is you still have to need to have been selling on Etsy for the last 90 days since your first sale. So that's another requirement too. They just want to make sure you're getting a minimum amount of orders to be able to qualify for the Star Seller, because the reason being is they don't want people selling one item, not really having a lot of data to give Etsy and then getting a Star Seller badge when they haven't technically earned it yet. You want them to have a couple of orders under their belt, be able to respond to messages, ship items fast, and be able to get reviews consistently before getting a Star Seller badge and leapfrogging over shops that have been around for a lot longer. So that's probably the reason why they did it like that. So like I said, the new stuff is in your dashboard now. You should be able to see that, and then you will actually be eligible for the Star Seller badge based on this new criteria in August. So if you don't see it, like I said, you should see it soon, but it should be in your dashboard. It's in my dashboard. So just make sure you're checking that as far as that goes. And then I'm going to include a link too. Based on these new changes, Etsy did send out a survey. So I'm going to put that link in the description or wherever you're watching that. If you're unhappy, if you want some changes, or if you like the changes, make sure you're filling out the survey. Let them know how you feel. That's the only way that we're going to make change. It's the only way that they're going to know how buyers and sellers feel about their platform. But I think they're going in a better direction with a Star Seller badge. And like I said at the beginning, when this was all rolled out, it's not going to stay the same. They're always going to make changes. They're going to try and make things better. They don't want buyers leaving and sellers leaving the platform, of course. So they're going to try and do what's right for both parties. And this is one step in the right direction with all of these changes that I just talked about today. And I'll be back with some more changes as Etsy rolls them out. We'll see how these new changes work out, how they're reflected, how they're being used, and how they're being integrated within the platform. So I'm excited to see all this stuff that has been rolled out. If you guys like this video, make sure you like, follow, share, all the things. Helps me reach more Etsy and handmade sellers so I can continue to come at you guys with more content, more things to help your business grow. That's what I want for you guys. But I'll be back soon with another video for you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day.